Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk about some things that have been going on in the world right under our noses. And it's been a change and a shift, a cataclysmic shift in our cultural design and how we line up on whatever side of an issue we might be having. It used to be for the longest time that the color of your skin or the sex that you were, male or female, because we know there's only two sexes, and whether they were, what religion you were, or these types of things, what level of education you had. These were the things that they said were dividing us as a people within our society, these cultural norms and whatnot. Well, it seems that in the last few years, a lot of this has really changed. And I don't see that the issue with the color of your skin is a material matter so much as how you line up on certain ideological thinking, whether you're woke or whether you're based in your thinking. And this has become more and more of an entrenchment that's gone on in the world right underneath our noses, and many of us have to live with this not only where we work, where we play, but in our own families. So this has been going on, and it's not alone as far as an element in just with our government or our society. It's also in our churches, in our spiritual lives. We have division in all of our churches, not just the Catholic churches, but the Protestant churches are going through it. The Muslims are even going through it. They don't talk about it too much, but there's a lot of unhappy Muslims out there right now, and they may be ripe for rethinking. So this might be something that Christians and Catholics especially need to try to rethink their strategies with Islam, is to not try to debate it so much, because we all know Islam is based on a lie and a series of lies. Anyone who wants to talk about that, well, you should probably do some reading first. But it's based on several lies, and these are not refuted even in their own texts. So, and it also, they call for the complete elimination of the infidels, that being anyone who doesn't believe like they do. Now, everyone says, oh, you got to be nice with these folks. Well, you got to believe them when they tell you. So this is not something that you want to tread lightly on. You need to be definite about this and realize these folks may be nice neighbors and all like that, but when they go to their mosques and the things that are being taught and told to them, whether they're radical or not, are definitely not in your favor if you're a Christian. So don't be surprised when the snake gets out of the bag, as we say. So I was really surprised the other day when I was watching some news clips, and there was an interview, a panel that a fellow by the name of Van Jones, who's a contributor or whatever on CNN, a black guy who has said some things that are very opinionated over the years, especially against Republicans and Donald Trump in particular. And he assembled a group of three other black persons on his panel. They all looked like they were business-type people, junior executive types, all in their 30s, maybe 40s. So he thought for certain he was going to get a certain type of answer back to his question when he asked them all individually and separately as to whether or not they would vote for Donald Trump again, given his first 100 days. And all three of them answered yes, affirmatively. One, 1,000% yes. And this really surprised Van Jones. And he thought for certain that with bringing together people of dark skin that he was going to get a certain type of answer. He didn't get what he thought was going to be happening. So it's kind of funny to see a guy like him turn white as a sheet right on TV. But he went back through the panel and he asked the gentleman that was on the panel, and he asked him, he says, why did you vote for Donald Trump? And the man said, well, because he's an asshole. And this really shocked Van Jones. And it was really a response that I think needed a little bit more interpretation than what he gave it on the TV. But from my own thinking on this is that this younger man, and I didn't see any of these people as being black or color-centered in anything. They were all voters, and they were all educated people, and they were all making sense. And what Van Jones wasn't realizing is that he didn't have 3 black people out there. He had 3 voters with their own mind. And he didn't see this coming. And neither did anybody on the CNN staff who put this thing together, or anyone in the woke side of the arguments on things, the liberals. None of them saw this coming. And when the one fellow said, he voted for Trump because he was an asshole, a lot of people said, yeah, well, he's an asshole. Well, but you got to read into why he said he was an asshole. He said he was an asshole mainly because he would do things that other politicians wouldn't do. He would go in and see the problem and fix the problem. And even though other people were against him, it would want to shut him down and cry him out of the room and scream him out of the room or whatever they had to do. They wanted to use their defensive liberal logic to say, you can't say that. He's a terrible man. He's Hitler, blah, blah, blah. Well, farthest thing from Hitler in my mind. Anyone who wants to keep making that comparison certainly doesn't know their history and probably ought to go pick up a book, maybe several of them, maybe watch a few documentaries, but maybe documentaries that were done before 1980. So when my dad, we were being raised up, there were like 3 of us were in the teenage cycle together, pretty much going through. And so anyone who remembers what life was like back previous to these things coming about, there was a single phone in the household, a single telephone line that was tied to the wall. And anyone under the age of 40 years old probably doesn't remember that, but I certainly do remember it. And every Friday evening about 6:30, the phone would start ringing if you had socially active kids in the house. And about 6:30, the phone would start ringing. It would be someone's friend be calling, looking to see, hey, what are we doing tonight? We're going to get together over at this guy's place or whatever. We're going to shoot pool and do some things, maybe, get some pizza and stuff like that. These types of things, just trying to organize, hey, you want to hang out tonight? These types of things. So my dad had 3 of us in the house, and there'd be multiple phone calls coming in. And so my dad would sit at the kitchen table, typically with a glass of beer and a bag of Redskin Spanish peanuts. And this was his thing. And he would wait for the phone to ring, and he would answer the phone. It would ring, and he'd go, "Mule Barn, which ass do you want?" And it would shock the heck out of the people on the other side of the phone, and it would give him great pleasure to sense that these people were in a state of shock. But he knew it wasn't one of his clients calling him on a Friday night for advice. He knew it was going to be somebody calling for one of the kids. So he would come up with this response, and it got around, and all my friends ended up knowing that. They had to call Larry, and they get the Mule Barn answering machine. And my dad was having fun with it, but he liked playing around, and it was his sense of humor that he liked to exercise. So that got around. But which ass do you want was kind of the recurring refrain on that. And it reminded me when this guy called Donald Trump an asshole, he was basically not calling him a bad asshole, but he would be my asshole. Because when you've got your asshole out there fighting for you, that's what you want. Whether the guy is the greatest intellect or the greatest friend around a campfire and stuff like that, that's not what you need when you're looking for defense. It was a lot of times I was always told when looking to find an attorney to do a prosecution on someone. And I went through this because I had a real asshole prosecuted me in the Our Lady of America case. And unfortunately, she wasn't really the only asshole in the room, but she was the one doing the prosecuting. And it really hit home a lesson that I was told early on in my burgeoning professional life as a young person. I was told to go out and solicit an attorney to handle a claim that we had. Somebody was messing with our business properties and things like this. We wanted to file a suit on them. And so I asked my boss, I said, well, what kind of criteria are we looking for? He says, I don't care if it's a man or a woman. Just go find me an asshole. I thought, do we really want an asshole? He says, no, you want somebody who's going to be definite, is going to fight. And is going to fight dirty if they have to, but is going to fight for a win. And I said, well, do we have to fight dirty? He says, well, you don't have to fight dirty, but sometimes dirt comes up. Law is messy. And a lot of these things are messy. Leadership is messy sometimes. Discipline can be messy. You have to do dirty stuff. And so in thinking about that and watching this interview on TV with these three people, these three voters, and trying to get their opinions, I was realizing this man was not saying that Trump was like a crazy jerk and asshole, but he was an asshole that would fight for him. And this is what he saw in him. So hopefully by now you're immune to the word asshole and it's not offending anybody. Because otherwise there's going to be a lot more coming. Anyway, so when this young man was declaring that Trump was an asshole, it was really like a badge of honor that here somebody out of this previously identified community was going to vote a certain way, and then all of a sudden what they were looking for was something that was going to help them, and they saw it was going to fight for them. That's what they wanted, because they were through with the other stuff that was lying to them and using them and taking them for granted for all these years. They're not going to do that anymore. They have woken up, and this is a good thing. So sometimes the change in leadership comes with half the team, as we have here in the United States right now and around the world. Things are kind of split 50-50 between the people that want these progressive woke policies and they want to do all this crazy stuff. Need I say more? We have this team going on, and then we've got the common sense group going on, or as these folks would call the assholes. And it's coming around, and I tell you what, right now, it seems like with the change of things that are going on, it looks like the assholes are winning. And we need to cheer for them, and we need to push them on and try to help them get these changes made. One side's going to call them jerks and assholes and Nazis and all this stuff, baseless accusations, when they're not even looking in the mirror to see what they did for the last 2 decades, winding this stuff all up into this crazy world that we have right now, where we've actually got half excuse me, of our political people in the country, calling for the exoneration and the freeing of MS-13 members. These are people that don't have God in their lives at all. They have no concern for the welfare of other people. They're totally self-centered. These are people that want to maim and destroy and cause hurt before they kill you. They take great pleasure in it. And there's something that goes on with their leadership command that extols these things. So what kind of mindset would want to allow these things? It's a problem. So in our churches, though, we have some of the same stuff going on. And it's not recent. It's been going on for a long, long time. And I'm not just talking about the Catholic Church. I'm talking about all of them right now, because they're all under this problematic thinking that we have to love everyone, which we do, but we don't have to give everyone the keys to the car to lead the parade, so to speak. And I'm talking about the heavy influence of the gay concentration in all of our churches, not just the Catholic Church, but it's throughout all of them. These soft-centered men, and I've talked about it before, we need to be very, very careful at this time. And right now, this is being recorded on May the 6th. Tomorrow is May the 7th, and will be the start of the conclave of the Catholic cardinals in Rome to set about to try to find and elect a new pope. The candidates that they're talking about right now, if you watch the news and watch the media reports and watch the talking heads and the kind of things that they're coming out with, they started off with, I would say, was a smokescreen, talking about certain individuals, certain cardinals who are, let's say, more based in their thinking, more conservatives, a lot of people would say. But they're not lunatics. They're not running around crying foul at every little thing. They're saying, let's fix these things. So what we need to do is we need to find one of these guys to sort of take over things. But what's going to happen at that time is a lot of people will cry out foul of something like that to be happening. Say, you just unwound, 20 years of work that was done, all the work by Pope Francis, blah, blah, blah. Well, if it gets African idols out of St. Peter's Church and other places like that, I'm fine with it. So as these popes get together and are trying to define and choose a new pope for our next, immediate future here, we got to pray. We got to pray really hard that they don't screw this up and pick the wrong candidate. So what we really need right now for a new pope is an asshole. So in the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.